We're at the Hoboken Heights site in Union City. It's the site of a new luxury condominium complex that's built on the rock face overlooking the Hudson River. This site is a true brownfield. It's in an urban center. It is a contaminated property. In the northeast corridor of New Jersey, a lot of the properties are filled in with historic fill, which contains a variety of contaminants.
For brownfield redevelopment in general, there are challenges with the regulatory process, the time frame, and the costs associated with those issues. It becomes very expensive with larger developments where you need to transport and dispose of historic fill.
And that's why we used all the tools in our toolkit to leave the majority of the soils on site. We found out through a technique called compliance averaging that we could reduce some of the areas that were considered contaminated by collecting additional samples to prove that the material could remain in place. So when we realized that we could use soil blending, we already had the equipment. So it was really no additional cost to the client. So we instructed them where the contaminated materials were, how to blend them, and then we retested them and we were able to get them to meet NJDEP soil remediation standards. We used a lot of the techniques to minimize the soil removal on the site, but we had two small areas that just contained elevated levels of PCBs, and they were relatively easy to isolate, excavate, and we had the equipment here and remove from the site. To be able to build this without environmental constraints, without a deed restriction, allows the property to be recognized for its full economic value.
Lots of times you have development going on that avoid those brownfield areas because of the unknowns. What the E&LP has done is redevelop that property to better serve the community. It's providing residential space, it's providing a cleanup of a property. It's also creating a new tax rateable for the municipality. Just looking over at Manhattan and across that landscape from 1300 Manhattan, you can see neighborhoods that are underutilized, and the hope is that when folks see a project like this, that will trigger other projects in the area and uplift that community.